Hello families, Dan Hampton here, the Director of Growth Ministry at Holy Cross, and I'm just making this short video to explain some exciting updates we're going to have for our Affirmation program starting in September of this next year. Now, I had an informational meeting last week where I was able to share with people on site, and they asked a few questions and helped me fine-tune a few thoughts as well. And again, this is all what I'm proposing to you, not necessarily set in stone, but kind of the ideas we're working with at the moment as we prepare for next year, and just looking to always find the best way to create lifelong faith in our students. And that's really our underlying goal. The mission mandate of Holy Cross is to encourage those who hunger to be nourished by God. And we want to do that in our Affirmation program by establishing and connecting kids in their faith early on, so that as they continue to grow through adolescence and into early adulthood, they remember the lessons they've learned here in their time at Holy Cross and have connected them to their daily life so they can continue to be a lifelong disciple. That's really what we're after. And so that's the underlying framework for everything we do. So let me just share now with you some of the updates and changes that we're planning to do. First of all, I wanted to share with you that our small groups are a big part of our program. This year we changed things up during COVID to really emphasize that small group model and had a set number of adults for a smaller group of kids. The goal is to have no more than 5 per group, and this year we had to make a few adjustments. But in coming years we hope to continue to have a small group leader for every 5 kids that can connect with those kids, get to know them emotionally, relationally, and spiritually, and be that connection point so that when they walk into church on Sundays, they have another adult besides just their family that they are connected to, that they are engaged with, someone who can invite the kids to worship and help them to know that they are cared about and loved very much. Also with that, you see, our small group leaders will form a bridge. I call it our covered bridge program, over the major hurdles that often occur in a student's life. Like, for instance, after confirmation or 8th grade, that is one of the large drop-off points we see, where after confirmation Sunday, a lot of the kids we don't see back for whatever reason. It also occurs in high school in the transitions between lower class and upper class, and again once they graduate from high school. So you can see here on the screen the idea that our small group leaders, I'm asking for a 2-year commitment. So if you start new this year in 6th grade, I'm going to ask that you continue to be with those kids through next year as well in their 7th grade. Again, forming those relationships. And then our 8th grader becomes the 9th grade guide as well. And then our 10th grade guide becomes the 11th, and sometimes possibly 12th grade guide too, depending on our numbers. But the goal is that then whoever is their guide in their senior year continues with them into their freshman year of college or their first year of being a young professional. To keep them connected to the church, help them know that we haven't forgotten about them, that we love them and want them to continue to grow in God's Word as they move on to the next phase of their spiritual journey, as they continue to grow in the faith, just like you and I do. We are all growing all the time in our faith. So that explains kind of our small group model that you may have seen this year, but we're going to continue to work on it in the future years to make it better and more intentional. And along with that, we extended our hours this previous year. Instead of being just from 6 to 7, we kept that 6 to 8 time frame, and we're planning to continue to do that again next year, because what we saw happen was the kids really got to know each other better. They were more attentive in class after getting the wiggles out, so to speak. So kind of a basic outline of what our schedule will look like. 6 to 6:50 is our activity time. 6:50 to 7 is our transition to class time, and then 7 to 8 is the actual study. And what the activity time looks like, it depends on which week. And maybe your students came home and told you about this, but week 1 of the month, first Wednesday of the month is a all-student game. Week 2 is focused on service projects or serving the community in some way. Week 3 is what we call group fellowship. And a note about the group fellowship week as well. During those weeks, I do encourage our small group leaders to think about meeting off-site. during those times, sometimes it helps to get kids even more open when they're not meeting at church, or to go do something a little different outside the normal routine. So I have encouraged small group leaders to consider if there's those times in that third week to go meet at a coffee shop, or go get some ice cream together, or something to continually form those connections between the adults and the students, as well as the students to the students, their peer-to-peer relationships as well. Week 4 is what I call Group Challenge Week, and that's where, think of a challenge course obstacle. There's something the group has to overcome together that the group leader prepares, again, helping them to get to know one another and build those relationships. And on the 5th weeks, when those occur, we continue to do an all-student ministry game. And those all-student ministry games are first-year Affirmation students all the way through high school. So everyone together, getting those early first-year Affirmation students the chance to see the seniors, where they're going to be in just a few short years. So that's kind of what the schedule looks like. Now, as far as our classes go, we're going to change things as well with the first and second year classes. What's going to happen is year 1 and year 2 are going to be combined together. And the reason why I'm doing this is, again, it's all about those connection points, getting students to interact with students, and getting those students to interact with key adults, those small group leaders. And what I witnessed this past year is seeing how those adult leaders were able to help each other and have each other's back. If one couldn't be there, one was going to be late. As they were planning service projects, what have you, they could work together on that. And then the students, even though they have, let's say, that Miss Kim as their small group leader, they know Miss Christine over there as well. So we're getting the students to interact and know more adults in the congregation, so they feel more connected and they see the love of Christ modeled by other adults as well. So by combining these two classes together, we're going to really hopefully encourage that a lot more. And then we'll rotate the lessons. So by rotating, what I mean is, like this year, because the first year students last year studied apologetics, now moving in the second year, they need the Luther Small Catechism. So this year we'll begin with Luther Small Catechism. So those of you who have kids that are just starting our Affirmation program, so they're going to be 6th graders next year, perhaps. They'll be starting with Luther's Catechism, and then the year after that they will focus on apologetics, and then we'll just continue that rotation back and forth between the Catechism and the apologetic focus from year to year. Now, 3rd year is going to remain the same. They'll be their own group, because what they study really focuses on the rite of confirmation, or the liturgy that we go through on Confirmation Sunday, and the series of questions that we ask them. And since that's so specific to that particular event, it made a whole lot more sense to keep them as their own group as they prepare for Confirmation Sunday. And speaking of Confirmation Sunday and schedule, another change we're going to be making this year is we're planning to extend our lesson time this next year. So instead of us ending in end of April, next year we're planning to go from September to May. So think the old school schedule of schools, right? You went Labor Day to Memorial Day. That's our plan for classwork on Wednesday nights in the coming year. And since you might be wondering, well, where is Pioneer Club? Where does Together Meal fit in with this? Still working on the time schedule for the meal and for the Pioneer Club, because I really want to emphasize this 6 to 8 o'clock for our student ministry, and trying to work and massage the details for Pioneer Club. But we are planning to restart our Pioneer Club and Together Meal starting in September of next year. That is the plan as it stands right now. The meal will look a little different than maybe you've seen in the past, just to continue to keep us as safe as possible. And again, the timing of when Pioneer Club might shift a little bit just because of the longer student ministry time as well. But open to suggestions and thoughts on that, and we're still kind of massaging that, how it stands exactly. Also, with the schedule, with us moving to all the way through May, with the Board of Lay Ministries approval, I have made the decision to move the date of confirmation to what may be the freshman year of the 3rd year class. Now, you might wonder, well, well, why are you doing that? Why would we change the date of confirmation? Well, and for a couple of reasons. So thanks to COVID, COVID has some bright sides to it. What I saw was in the class that had to be confirmed in the fall was a continuing connection with our students. That because they weren't confirmed yet, they continued to come and be a part of our youth ministry even in that freshman year. And also, there's a lot of development that happens mentally, emotionally, physically between 8th grade and 9th grade. You look at those kids when they graduate 8th grade before they become freshmen, it's amazing how much they grow. And so my hope is that by moving the date of confirmation a little bit later, students can once again develop those brains a little more so they really understand and grasp what it is they're doing, what they're promising and vowing before God and before the congregation and their families during the rite of confirmation. And also we want to keep them connected and in that regular habit of coming to Bible study from week to week. So the plan will be we'll go through their third year material all the way through May, and then when they come back starting in September, we will really focus heavily on finalizing their statements of faith that they will share to the congregation, as well as some intentional Bible studies and work with mentors and other adults in that transition time to high school, because that can be a big transition and a hard time for those kids. So we want to support them and encourage them every way we can. The date of confirmation itself, I had initially proposed Reformation Sunday, but a few parents from the in-person meeting kind of reminded me that that's a lot of sporting events, tournaments. That's big for marching band. That time of the year is a big transition point from fall sports to spring sports or to winter sports. So I'm still looking at that exact date of what it might be. It's not finalized yet. But for those of you who are going to have a student that this will affect next year, we wanted to tell you just in advance that our confirmation study is not going to be in May. It will be in the fall of your student's freshman year. So you can plan over a year out and be able to move forward, invite family, friends, and anyone that's going to be able to join you. Another question, it's not a change, but just kind of a question I feel like I need to answer at this point. Throughout this COVID year, we moved a lot of stuff to Google Classroom, and we're still tweaking that, and we're still continuing to make it better, because we kind of did it because we had to, thanks to COVID, but it could be done better. And so with all of our classes, they'll be continually offered on Google Classroom. So if your child can't make it to the in-person on a Wednesday night, all their materials will be there for you as the parent or guardian to take them through the lessons and then ask them the questions and fill out any of the homework that is attached to those lesson plans. I'll be taking some time this summer to kind of go through those and clean them up a little bit and move them for the next year so they're accessible for you at any time. Which leads me to my last thing that I wanted to kind of share with you all, and that has to do with points and tests. I get a lot of questions about this because historically in our affirmation program, just our first year and second year had points and tests of any kind, and so what I'm going to be working on over the summer is bringing that for all of our affirmation classes. So from first year all the way through third year, there will be some benchmarks, and I don't like to look at it as tests or points you have to continue on, but more as a guideline or a benchmark. How are you doing? Do we need to help you out, or is there questions you have? It's more as a measurement of, are you continuing to learn what you need to learn? So what that's going to look like is, first and foremost, is just completion of the coursework. Those things that we assign in classes and being in class, making sure those things are done. So you get points for that. Also including memory work across all the ages. One of those things will be, you'll notice next year for first and second year students, you will be asked to memorize Luther's Small Catechism. We haven't done, that's a change. We haven't actually asked for that to be done in the previous years, but you will be memorizing those. Also involving yourself in service, completing sermon summaries, acolyting, and then at various times having a short assessment or you call it a test, but it's not like a pass, it's more of a pass-fail kind of test. And if you don't pass it, then we get to have that conversation of, well, why? Is it that you're not a good test taker, or is it you have trouble understanding what we're going through? So it's really just a way for the teacher to kind of know where you are. Not necessarily depending on whether making sure you pass from year to year, but seeing how active are you in and trying to learn the material and grow in your faith. If that makes sense. I know that might be a little confusing because it is a little confusing. Because our main goal again is to create lifelong disciples. So that's what we're after. We're not about giving you an A or B or D or C or F or whatever. I want you to grow in your faith as a lifelong learner of Jesus Christ. And I pray and I hope that through our Affirmation program, you and your students do grow in their faith. Thank you for taking the time to view this video. I hope it has answered all your questions. If you have more, please don't hesitate to reach out to me at my email address of danh@holycrosscs.org, or catch me on a Sunday, or give me a call here at the church, and I'll answer any questions you have. So until then, everybody, I hope to see you in our usual summer student series where we meet on Wednesday nights from 6 to 8 for activities and Bible study. And until then, we will talk to you soon. Bye, everybody.